Welcome everyone. My name is Dr. Greg Stewart, and this is the first in a series of videos I'm going to be doing to promote my new book, I Cubed: Unlock the Strength Behind Your Negative Emotions, coming out spring of 2025. I'm going to begin with the chapter, The Story We Tell Ourselves. And I want to lay the foundation first before we get into the actual process of I Cubed and the emotions. Number one is I want to frame emotions as basically goals that everything we do, every behavior is actually trying to achieve an emotional goal. Okay. So eating, drinking, sleeping, scratching my back, whatever it is, it's to achieve an emotional goal. And the emotional goals we're trying to achieve, we get set out there. But the issue is the paths that we take to achieve these emotional goals are actually what needs to be under evaluation, because the emotional goals are good. It's just the paths, and these paths are choices, actions, behaviors, responses, and habits that we do are actually where the issue is. So, in order to kind of go through this process of change, then we need to evaluate the paths in order to achieve the emotional goals. So, the goal is good. It's the path that we take to achieve the emotional goal that is the issue. So, a lot of times when we talk about personal change, we are doing these actions and behaviors, the responses, whatever it is, and then people challenge us or disagree with us, get upset with us, whatever the case is, because we're trying to achieve our emotional goal, and all of our focus is on the emotional goal. And they are actually challenging the path, but we defend the path because we want to achieve our emotional goal. So we defend the path and say, get defensive with them, because we feel like when they are challenging our path, they're actually trying to keep us from achieving our emotional goal, which of course is not the case. So I want to separate all the behaviors from the emotional goals. The emotional goals are good. The paths we take to achieve those emotional goals is what in question. The focus of all of our change is to do what? So we want to change anything about ourselves or our environment. The goal is to improve basically our quality of life, an emotional goal. Our quality of life is based upon how we feel about ourselves, our habits, patterns of behaviors, relationships, and the like, and in our environment, careers, jobs, where we live, everything, our quality and standard of life. So in our change process, we're always going about the process of increasing our quality of life. And we try to increase our quality of life by either changing ourselves or trying to change our environment. So in changing ourselves, again, when we think about how I want to grow, we normally think in ideas of, I want to do different habits. I want to either stop habits or I want to add habits. I want to respond differently to situations. I want to make different choices. So that's very good and natural, and the same experience for every human being on the face of the earth. So the question is, why do we struggle with change? If we've already come to the conclusion that we want to change a behavior, then why do we struggle with that change? And the key is, what stories do we tell ourselves in order to explain either why we haven't made the change yet, or even what stories do we tell ourselves to defend that we don't want to change this particular path in order to achieve the emotional goals. All the way throughout this book, to achieve the process of trying to figure out what the change looks like. So we're going to address all these questions in upcoming weeks through these videos. So for this week, I would simply want us to think through everything we do and think through the emotional goals we're trying to achieve. Again, everything we do, just think through emotional goals from the surface level, behavioral stuff throughout our day, but go into deeper, our greater struggles of what the emotional goal we're trying to achieve in our deepest areas of struggle. So when we're trying to achieve an emotional goal like significance, confidence, security, safety, whatever it is, in our deepest level, who or what is blocking that goal? And our behavioral responses, we actually turn up emotions along with our actions to achieve that emotional goal. So we're not only looking at the surface things, as far as I want to achieve an emotional goal by feeling full when I eat something, or quenching my thirst, which is a feeling too deeper of, I don't feel confident. So what am I doing to gain more confidence? What paths do I take? Behaviors and responses do I take to feel more confident? And when somebody insults me or teases me and exposes something that would take away some value or worth in me, which makes me feel less confident, what's my response to that person when they do something that makes me feel less confident? And that is where we go in order to address the negative emotions throughout this process. So think through emotions and then the paths you're taking to achieve those emotional goals. And when we want to change our behaviors, think about your behaviors. Another way of coming at it is I want to change these certain habits or behaviors. What behaviors do you want to change? But then ask yourself, well, what emotional goal am I trying to achieve by the behavior itself? Even though the behavior is something I want to do different, what emotional goal are you trying to achieve by this behavior? And then realize that there are many other paths to achieve the same emotional goal. That is one. So, in changes of behavior, anything you want to do differently, think through what emotional goal am I trying to achieve by this behavior I want to change, number one. And then, secondly, if you've struggled changing that behavior, then why? And the other question is that there is an emotional reward or emotional goal that you are achieving kind of as an addendum to the larger emotional goal. When we choose behaviors to achieve a greater emotional goal, there's also an experiential emotional reward in this behavior to begin with. And we struggled switching over to a different path because of the loss of the reward of this current behavior that we're using that we want to change because it has consequences. There's still an emotional reward attached to that current behavior. Think about behaviors you want to change. What emotional goal are you trying to achieve by this behavior? And secondly, in struggling to switch to a different path, what emotional reward will you lose by changing over? And that tells us why we are so committed to this current path that is causing us issues and consequences. So I look forward to walking this journey with you. Again, this is video one in a series, and I'll put out one per week is my goal. Be sure to share and subscribe. Bless you.